People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe this evening, and a good evening to you at that. Now, we've been linked with Thomas Partey from Unai Emery's days. Allegedly, Emery wanted him and wanted Arsenal to activate his release clause, which is allegedly 44 million. And we've been linked with him, buying him outright, loan with an obligation to buy, swap deal with Lacazette. And in turn with these rumours, we'll never know until the man's holding the shirt. Obviously, I would love him as a player. Until he signs a deal and holds the shirt, it's just speculation. But allegedly, his dad has had some comments to make. So it's better yet, I just get into it. His father, Jacob Partey, Mr. Jacob Partey, has said, "I've called my son and he told me the truth, but Atletico Madrid are now in discussions about the move. I've played football before and know it is the offer that Atletico Madrid are demanding. A player can shine if he moves to another team. There are supporters in Arsenal, and Arsenal is not a small club. I will be happy if my son joins Arsenal, but what is needed is how his current club is going to release him," he said. Now, for me, you know, obviously at fan value, at face value, that's obviously massive for us people to hear that. Obviously, Thomas Partey is a player who can help us. You know, he's a box-to-box midfielder. He's got lovely technical qualities. He's got physical qualities. He can win the ball back. Most importantly, he can shine in the pivot. He's got the physical capabilities to play in the Prem. He's only 24 years of age as well. And he's a player, you know, you can see us bringing some skill and quality into our midfield and helping to upgrade it. So obviously I'm happy about that. I'm happy his dad's come out and spoken. But again, I don't know how to feel, because until he's holding the shirt, I don't know. Because for me, a lot of the interest in Partey, you might be legit, but a lot of the rumours you hear, it seems like it's just to either make Atletico Madrid stick or twist, give him whatever demands the agent wants, because we know there's a contract offer on the table. But why hasn't it been signed? Do they want better terms, whether that's wages, bonuses, a similar release clause sort of fee, you know, whatever he wants, performance-based bonuses, we don't know, but it's on the table. So if I was to look at it from that point of view, you've got an offer on the table, you've got an advisor / dad or whoever speaking about publicly another team. That to me screams an attempt to get more money out of Atletico Madrid. That could also be leveraging. You know, Arsenal could be in talks with him. I hope Arsenal are. Arsenal probably are. But let's just say there's an unknown club. With all this in mind, there's an unknown English club, and his dad has come out and said, "Oh, listen, he looks like he's going to Arsenal." That is going to get more pounds out of the other club that might legitimately want him. I'm not saying Partey's a money pincher. I'm not saying anyone around him is. I'm just saying I see a man that his team wants to give him a new deal. He's not signed one, and he's always linked with Arsenal. And we know teams leverage our alleged interest in him. Obviously, they have to make a decision, because he's got 2 years left on his deal, contracted until 2022. His release clause is 44 million. Some other reports online go as far to say Thomas Partey, with the support and encouragement of his family, told his current club, Atletico Madrid, about his desire to move to Arsenal and go into a new experience in the Premier League. That's tweeted by the AFC Bell, which is one of the better Arsenal accounts that covers everything. So again, it just appears rumours, but allegedly, you know, last summer or the summer when Emery came and we got Torreira, you know, Emery wanted Partey. Partey was open to making the move regardless of where Arsenal are. A lot of that might be true, but a lot of that might also give fuel to the fire. Apparently, talks between Arsenal and Atletico have not broken off in past weeks and are at a sensitive stage, as the Spanish club, who are refusing to allow the player to leave unless his release clause is paid in full. The agent of the player, Daniel Jimenez, hinted to the AFC Bell that the player is not satisfied with the terms of the new contract submitted by Atletico Madrid. According to a source, Arsenal proceed to provide several formulas that would enable the parties to conclude a satisfactory deal for Partey. It is not excluded that It is not excluded that a loan with an option to buy a loan for 18 months, with a mandatory purpose, an option to buy mandatory purchase is off the table. So while I've butchered that, long story short, people, and it's terrible copying and pasting. The English don't make sense, but you know, Arsenal have, the whole world is going to suffer from financial issues to some degree, depending on what variant of that we're yet to see. But the transfer market, you know, it might be back to normal. You might see teams say, you know, we're going to give our academy a chance. You might see more swap deals. We don't know. One thing we do know, regardless of that, is despite the fact that we are cash rich, We haven't got Champions League. We've got a mad wage budget. People have to probably be sold before they come. We're kind of working within our means and not got the biggest budget, people. Not got the biggest budget, so this would be an expensive outlay, and you've got to, again, I'd sanction it. I think they would do it, but you've got to wonder what that means for other areas, because there's talk of a centre half, there's talk of signing one for 15 million in Disasi, there's talk of signing up on Meccano for 40 million. This guy's 44, up on Meccano's 44, but that's 84 million. Now for me, that's 84 million well spent. You also linked with a move for Gabriel Veron, who allegedly were in talks with Palmeiras for 20 odd. That's bringing you to 100 odd. Can Arsenal in this climate be prepared? Will we spend 100 odd million in total? I'm not too sure. With this being said, it could also help us, because, you know, the loan with a mandatory option, that would kind of tie into what we've done for deals for Torreira and Pepe. In Torreira's case, we've paid more than his release clause, but it's staggered over time, and we've paid over the odds potentially for Pepe, but it's staggered over time, and there's probably elements of that in Saliba. So, you know, a sort of IOU, give us a year to get back on business and stuff. Potentially, if we get Champions League next year, provided this season's finished, next year, and again, a big if, you know, there's more money, there's more pot, we can do things, and again, it's mandatory, so we'll have a year to put finances together. Also, we'd have time to offload players as well, people. I think Partey should come in regardless, but you are inclined to believe players potentially might be sold before they come in. You look at the midfield, again, Xhaka's turned a new corner over Arteta, but there's still interest allegedly from Germany, and he might have said to Arteta, yo, listen, I'll tell you what you need to listen. We'll do what you need to do to the end of the season. I'll buy into what you want, but I want to leave because the same thing might happen again. I want to go. You've obviously got rumours of Guendouzi. I still think there's talent in Matteo, but we might sell him for a profit. Obviously, Torreira's lost his place in the side, and for me, the option of Thomas Partey and Torreira for me would be an enticing one, because you've got the option of either or. You've got the option of one starting and one not. You can pair both of them together. There could be some games we expect to lose the midfield battle, so we go with a more dynamic one. Obviously, if they both play together and they were to play, I don't know, a three-man midfield of Torreira, Partey and Xhaka, there's a real lack of creativity there and things like that. And on the topic of Torreira and selling before we need to buy, we've heard since the moment Torreira's come in, he's been a good player and had some good moments, but he's not settled, whether that's the way of life, whether that's the team, whether that's unknown to us. So, you know, is it going to be one in, one out? Lacazette's frequently linked with a move to Atletico in a swap deal, or just in general. You know, that could be one with, you're hearing a lot of swap deals into Milan and Barca. That might be something we entertain. Torreira's been linked with Atletico, and Spain is probably more aligned to his way of life. He's obviously got a fellow South American employed there. The system would thrive for Torreira and for Atletico Madrid. Depending on how you look at it, apparently, ironically, both Arsenal and Atletico Madrid would benefit from, I can't say it, but the coefficient places in the Champions League. So there's also a prospect of Champions League football with Madrid. And as much as I love Torreira, if he doesn't want to be here, I haven't got time to be pulling up people's trousers and stuff like that, and wiping bums like a little kid and things like that. You know, I don't like this little kid stuff. People don't want to be here, move them on. These are not little kids where they're crying because you know they've got poo in their boxes and whatnot, and they need to change their diapers. We need men here, for want of a better term. We need men that want to be here, men that are down for the cause. If Torreira's that, then cool, because you know me, I'm a big fan of Torreira. Torreira's probably my top 3 favourite players in this team. If he was to press me, I'd say Aubameyang, I'd say Martinelli, I'd say Torreira and Saka. It's a tie sort of thing. Well, Martinelli and Saka, but you get the point. And it does lead me to believe, obviously, Torreira, we signed him for what, 30, 40 odd million euros. You'd imagine you could get 40, 44, like Partey's fee, a similar fee for Torreira. Partey's cost that, so could it be one in, one out? You know, not too many. You get it? We sell Torreira for that much, we bring one in, and we've kind of covered our aces. And that's also without talking about potentially moving on some defenders. There's obviously players on loan that potentially need to be moved on. You'd imagine one of our current midfield options leave. There's a case for definitely 2. I would love Partey, but it's a bit of a funny one because, you know, technically, again, the season's been put to a halt, but technically we'd be midway through a season. Atletico Madrid would be, you know, dealing with the bulk or the business end of their campaign. This would be a distraction. If my father came out, it's probably distracting for him already, but if this was coming out, this is distracting you from on the field. Arsenal like to be discreet. Now, of course, things come out, but, you know, the market's not open. For this to come out, if Arsenal are not anywhere close to the transfer happening, it would make us look silly. This is all if there is actual truth in this, people. So this does lead me to believe we're either being used to gauge to demand better interest or better offers from another interested party. Of course, a part of me wants to believe that he's coming to Arsenal, and I hope that's the case. Also, the main thing I believe is that, like his agent has said, he's not satisfied with the terms of his current deal. Whether that's length, whether that's incentives, whether that's base wages, I don't know. And that's something, that's probably the key thing here. Maybe if he signs a renewed deal, if the terms are offered, we might see something else, or he might legitimately want to come to Arsenal and things. Either way, a decision has to be made. But I do think Torreira would be victim of this purely because, I think Arteta would entertain the idea of Torreira and Partey, and I think Torreira likes it. Torreira's liked by Arteta, but if he genuinely wants to go, then it is what it is. From a sporting perspective as well, again, I think too much is made when a man loses their space in the side. I think, you could have Partey, Torreira, Xhaka, Guendouzi, or another Camel, 4 or 5 midfielders of various levels, and everyone can fight and earn their spaces. Obviously, the creative midfielders would be at a push. But if we looked at it, Xhaka seems to be what Arteta wants, and you look at Torreira, there's question marks over is he progressive enough in that area, is he as athletic enough for the Prem? I think he is, but these are things that's said. Is he Torreira's cup of tea? Because Emery didn't want him, Mislintat did. Now I think Torreira's been a good signing and it doesn't matter. But, if Arteta feels the same way, he can go and get someone more physically aligned to what he's looking for, if that's what he's looking for. I think if Torreira, if it's far from the truth that he is unsettled and, we would want to sell him, like he's been linked to the Milan clubs, I wouldn't want it to. I would like to keep Torreira. Torreira and Partey are different players, but if we cut the crap and keep football at its basic standards, they're both similar in that Torreira's at the base. Partey can be box to box, but he can break up play. He's switched on defensively. You can't not be switched on being a midfielder in a system like Atletico Madrid, which obviously gives me more beneficial, is of more benefit to me because it means he's going to be a bit more solid. But it'd be nice to have two of them sort of man in the side, because like you saw when Torreira's injured, who do we hold? Who do we bring on to kind of shore things up, or who starts the game that's got a bit of steel in our midfield? Do you get it? It'd be lovely to have, if not Partey and Torreira, just two players that there's games where we might be playing City or Liverpool where City are better than us technically, so we ain't got a chance. So we've got to be a bit more tenacious. Liverpool, they run our current midfield options. Again, I don't have the stats, but if we were to play each other, they're more dynamic. So if we think, alright, cool, they got good players, we've got to be a bit more dynamic. Do you get it? Sort of thing. I think both of them would be in the side, because obviously Torreira and Partey are two different players. But if Torreira was to leave and Partey's there, then it's almost the same logic with Torreira. If Torreira gets injured, who plays holding? You've got to look at your midfield. Everybody's, don't get me wrong, roles have advanced, but people got to complement people. People have got to bring different things to the table. With Torreira, I see a combative midfielder. With Xhaka, obviously, Xhaka does what Arteta wants. Beyond that, I can see why Ceballos plays in the pivot, but if you don't really see what the midfielders are. The next step would obviously be bringing in a creative man. I would love Szoboszlai. I think he could break the lines from deep well. But again, how much money can go around in this climate, people? I'm not too sure. We'd have to look at it, because we'd have the dynamism, but I don't think we get enough goals from midfield. I don't think we're much of a goal threat from midfield. And again, it could be said generally that central base players are not scoring as much, but I just don't think we don't shoot enough as a team, and Arteta's working towards making us a team who does, but I don't think we look like a threat from midfield. And I think away from Partey, that would be the next step to do that for us, people. Again, 44 million, to be fair. And there's also got to be more teams interested, because if he has one step out the door, and if, no disrespect to the club I love in Arsenal, but if he's prepared to come to Arsenal, which are currently 9th place, no Champions League, are not going to compete for major trophies, at least where this season's thingy, then surely if you're United and you think, if you come to Arsenal, sure you come to us. We'll give you the money. We're Man United as well. Like Arsenal, we could sell you stuff. Or you're Chelsea, you probably want to get involved. Or if you're City, again, assuming these teams are interested, surely there's other teams interested, which again could make it problematic for Arsenal. So we'll have to see how it is, people. But probably all options are on the table. If you was to ask me, I think the first priority is to come to a contractual renewal. And then I think he is enticed by playing in the Premier League, if not Arsenal. That's just me as a fan. But I think the vast majority of these rumours is obviously to get him to sign a new deal, because that's Atletico's mandate or what they're trying to do. But, you know, I'd love him to come, but it's just paper talk or rumours at this point, people. Like I said, I think we need to keep both, because, again, if Partey's just here, what happens if Partey gets thingied, sort of thing. I want Torreira to stay badly, but my inkling is to believe if Partey does come, Torreira's out. But that's just me as a fan. On that note, I've got nothing more to add, so I'm going to keep it moving. People, it's always a pleasure. Deluded, I'm out.